Hello, everyone. I know some of you I see are on mute, but hopefully you can hear me. I will start in just a few minutes. I just want to make sure that you all can hear me. So if you have your microphone and you're not on mute, just let me know if you can hear me. And I'm sure if one can hear the rest. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, that works well. Okay, thank you. Okay, just give me a couple of minutes and we will get started. Okay, so if you will please go ahead and place yourselves on mute. And I think I might be able to do that as well, but if you can do that, and if, as I'm presenting, if you can type in your questions in the chat window, I will get to the questions after I finish my complete presentation. Okay, thank you. Also with the thumbs up, if you can just let me know if you can see the slides on the screen. Great, thanks, Daniel. Okay. Okay, it's about noon and I want to get started. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lakshmi Iyer. I'm the director of the MS in Applied Data Analytics program. And I see a few people online who I either have met with or communicated by email. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Again, for those of you who just joined in, I have you placed on mute as you come in, so it prevents some background noise. What I plan to do is to go over the list of slides that I have to give an overview about the program, the application process, the admission process, and as much details I think you will need. Of course, if you have any questions, type them at any time in the chat window. And once the presentation is over, I will unmute all of you and also go through the questions that's already on chat, or if you want to ask me later towards the end, that would be fine as well. Okay, thank you so much again. Our program, again, is Master of Science in Applied Data Analytics, but we do have another graduate offering as well that I'll talk about. Our website is msanalytics.appstate.edu, and you can get the slides here. Hopefully you can still see the slides. There are two program offerings. One, of course, the degree program, which is the Master of Science in Applied Data Analytics, which is a full-time one-year program that's 36 credit hours. You take 12 hours each semester, and you can finish it in 3 semesters. That is, if you start in the fall, it would be fall, spring, and summer, or if you start in the spring, it would be spring, summer, and fall, and so on. There are a few who are doing it part-time, but it's a face-to-face program on campus, so it is not any hybrid or online format at this time. So if you're around campus, like if you're in driving distance and you want to do it part-time, if you have a full daytime job, you could attempt that as well. That obviously will take a little longer depending on the number of courses you take per semester. The other option is the Business Analytics Graduate Certificate. This is not a degree program, but there are some students who want to take this first and then get a flavor for it and then decide to switch to the, it's not an automatic switch to the degree program. You still have to apply and you have to go through the admissions process to be admitted. But I will talk about the process for that if you were to do the certificate program. Okay, so those are the two offerings that we have for the analytics. Okay, so the Applied Data Analytics program, basically, it focuses on, if I don't have the Venn diagram here, if you were to think about it like three circles coming together, the first is the technical skills that you need to work with data in a business context. So this focuses on the analytical skill sets, both stats, computing, database, and data management type background. And then we have the concentration area, which provides the domain knowledge, and the business ethics, or I'm sorry, business skill sets, professional business skill sets. So I'll talk a little bit more about that kind of a program configuration through the structure of courses we have. But obviously, many of you know already that the demand for analytics positions or skill sets is pretty high and continues to grow. Other unique features about the program, we have dedicated academic advising, so I will be your advisor once you start the program. We do have a career services office. We have an online system where employees post information for analytics position. Just this summer alone, in the last few weeks, I've gotten about 4 to 5 requests both for internships and full-time jobs, and that continues to grow. This is, I'm just talking about the last few weeks. We've had other requests come in prior to that as well. So as I mentioned, our graduates have a good blend of business knowledge skills, the analytical skill sets, and the ability to be effective as a business professional. So we have an executive skills component, which is like a 0 credit course as part of the program. The MS Analytics program, this is the degree program I mentioned. It's a full-time, if you were to do it full-time, you complete it in a year, and it's 36 credit hours. So coming into the program, there's a couple of prerequisites, which is statistics and economics. So we look for a course, an academic course that you have taken in those 2 areas, and we look for a grade of B- or higher. If you don't have those 2 backgrounds, there's ways to get that prerequisite knowledge obtained. We do have an online program that's set up. You pay $150 per course, and it can be completed before you join the program. It's a self-paced module. You do have a tutor, and that tutor will work with you and to ensure that you complete those prerequisites. We recommend the stats prerequisites before starting the program, and if you're unable to finish the econ prerequisite the first term, we recommend it before you take the second course or the time series course in the program. So, but basically those are the 2 prerequisites. In the program itself, we have 27 hours of core courses. I don't want to talk about each and every course, but 27 hours of core courses includes the stats, the time series, the data management, and a few other classes such as visualization and project management, as well as web analytics. And we have 2 semesters worth, that is 6 credits of applied analytics project. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but that's a very key component of the program that really helps you build the business connections as well as work on projects, real-world projects related to analytics. In addition, if you recall, I mentioned about the domain knowledge or the context or other areas of knowledge that you bring in, business knowledge. So this is where the 9 hours of electives come from the 5 concentrations listed below. We started off with supply chain analytics, sustainability, and interdisciplinary. And I put together a proposal for a couple of additional concentrations which have been approved. So these are starting in the fall, marketing and healthcare. So you can choose one of these concentration areas and you'll take 3 courses in that area. The interdisciplinary one is kind of a mixed bag of coursework that you can take. If you have an interest in some supply chain course, for example, or a marketing or healthcare or a computer science or GIS class, then you can take a mixed set of 3 courses that contribute towards the interdisciplinary analytics. So again, for the full-time students, you can finish in 1 year, but a part-time option is also available. So as far as admission, we do have rolling admissions. So you can start in summer, fall, or spring. And it's open to any major. So interestingly, students ask, what type of background do you need? And our students actually come from a diverse set of backgrounds. I have students with math or stats, computing or CIS background, supply chain majors, marketing, accounting, econ, political science, engineering. So it's a really wide set of background. And I mean, if you look at the whole area of analytics or applied data analytics, every organization, irrespective of what type of organization they are, deals with data. So it's not necessary that you have to be in one particular field. The skill sets that you acquire here can be used, in multiple different areas. So having students come from diverse background really helps, because then you get to interact with students with a variety of backgrounds, and you get their perspectives on any particular project. I did mention about the prerequisites that's available online. If you have not met those 2 prerequisites in econ and statistics, these are self-paced, tutored prerequisites, but there's a cost to it. As I said, it's $150 per course. And so those are the 2 courses. Career services, I mentioned about the graduate career services that's available. We also have programs or events in campus. We have a dedicated business connections, career connections event in the fall, as well as we did one just for graduate students last spring. But it may be combined with other career services event, or we may have a separate section for graduate students. But we have several companies that come to the area and have recruited our students. Some of our alumni who are working in those organizations come and network with the students as well. So those are really great opportunities to explore, future job options. Dedicated and individualized advising, as I mentioned, these are individual advising as scheduled with students. And we will talk about your career interest and, based on your background, what type of project, what type of courses you want to take, and we will try to customize it based on that. Also, there are some students, they ask, I came in, or I registered, or I applied as a particular concentration, say, for example, supply chain. And if my interest has changed, can I change my concentration? That is possible, but you have to do it in a timely manner to ensure that your electives that you've already taken count towards it. So, but changing from one elective to another is not a challenge. It is an option available. As far as application deadlines, these are the set deadlines we have. For fall, it's July 1st, so that's coming up very soon. For spring, it's November 1st, and summer, April 1st. And I don't know how many that have registered fall under international students, that if you have to get visas, and there's additional steps in documentation that has to be presented. So typically we tell the students that you must apply at least 2 months before the regular deadline to ensure all of the paperwork is in place so you can get your visa and be set to start the program in an appropriate time frame. Requirements, all of the application is done online through our new system called Slate. Completed application, including all of your information such as address, your 3 names of references, your personal statement, and your resume. All of that can be posted online. So you put the names of your references and their email addresses. They will be sent a direct email to submit the reference online. So there's no paperwork that really is needed. Transcripts can also be obtained digitally, where it's possible. If not, it has to be an official transcript sent directly from the university. For international students, this is where it takes a little bit more time, because there's your international transcript has to be evaluated and standardized to the US format. So either you can get it done through the West company, or you can send it to graduate school and they will have it evaluated, but it has to be official transcript sent. I mentioned about the 3 letters of recommendation. The only thing here is make sure that you get your letters of recommendation from either if you have work experience from your supervisors or professional colleagues who can speak to your work ethics or your work or your projects that you've completed. Or it could be, if you're a student who's just graduated or have connections with your professors, make sure that you have those recommendations coming from them. The only thing we say is please do not get recommendations from your friends or family. It has to be a professional affiliation or professional relationship with that person. Copy of your resume, most recent resume. Make sure that if you have work experience that you have some information about relevant work experience, so that as we evaluate your application, we have a complete portfolio about your background. GMAT or GRE, we accept either one, GMAT or the GRE scores as I mentioned, but we do convert the GRE scores to estimated GMAT score. You can actually Google that, GRE to GMAT. That's for constant comparison purposes. GRE or GMAT waiver is available under certain conditions, which is linked on our website. So if you already have a completed master's degree from an accredited institution with the 3.0 or higher GPA, that's, you can apply for the waiver then, or I think that is automatically waived. But I think the graduate school does have a GRE waiver form, and you have to complete that with the appropriate reasons. The other option is if you do not have a master's degree already and you have significant relevant work experience in the business context or related to analytics, your resume has to reflect that. Your letters of recommendation will have to reflect that as well. And you can submit the waiver request. It has to be, again, meet the requirement for waivers in terms of experience and the GPA requirement. And that can be submitted, be evaluated, and make a recommendation to graduate school. And typically it's the graduate school who makes a final approval of waiver or admission or any of those things. All of this is recommendation we make to graduate school. Once the application is all completed, we review it with the admissions committee, and the student will be requested to participate in an interview, which can be either face-to-face or online by we set up through Zoom. There's just a similar medium that you're on right now. Some of the common questions we get is what's the GRE or GMAT score that you accept? As I said, we take the GRE score and convert it into GMAT. So the GMAT score, our average of the admitted students for GMAT right now is about 595. So that gives you kind of a picture of what you need to target. Does that mean if you have less than 595, you will not be admitted? That's not true. We look at your overall portfolio, but it depends on your overall work experience, how your letters of recommendation, your GPA, how the rigor of the courses that you've taken. And all of this is to make sure that, you're able to, do graduate level work and be able to meet the rigor of the program. So we want you to be successful. So we don't want you to, we don't want to have false pretense that, you can succeed in the program irrespective of where you are, but we wanted you to be successful. And some of these are criteria that have been shown as indicators of success. So, but we don't just hone in on one particular aspect of the portfolio. We want to make a, decision based on holistic, but we are also held against certain criteria in terms of quality of programs. So we want to maintain that. And hence, if the GRE or GMAT is very low, then we will definitely let you know the concerns that we have. Okay. Now, some of the graduate program highlights. The Walker College of Business is, there's a typo there, that's AACSB accredited. That's our third-party accreditation agency, and it's a very small % of business schools that are AACSB accredited. Our students also participate in competitions. We encourage them. So our students won the first prize in the Charlotte Hackathon that was held recently. This is an annual competition that's been running for, 3 to 4 years now. But this year we had 2 teams compete. This was the graduate students who competed and won first place among 800 participants. So obviously the judges were impressed with what they did. I'll be glad to talk more about it if anyone has questions. That's later. You can type it in the chat if you have right now. Other program highlights, we do have some additional certification opportunities. This is offered through the CIS and Supply Chain Management Department. The head of the department offers Six Sigma certification classes that you can potentially enroll in. And for people who chose the SCM concentration, that's one of the courses that you can potentially take as an elective as well. So that really helps if that's your focus and emphasis. In addition, you'll be working in a professional environment. There's a lot of students who come in with significant work experience. So you'll have that opportunity, and you'll also have the opportunity to interact with business folks who come in either during the career services or events that we have, or also during the executive impact meetings, which is part of our graduate student organization, and there's more information coming on that. There are also assistantship and scholarship opportunities. So if you went to the website msanalytics.appstate.edu, there's a link there to apply for scholarships or assistantships. Obviously, these are competitive, so we collect all of the requests that come in, and we evaluate the applicants based on their overall standing, and a decision is made by the committee. It's usually the Dean of Graduate Programs that makes the decision. Obviously, I do provide some recommendations, but it's done in a holistic manner. And it's usually done about a month or so, or a couple of months prior to each semester's start. In rare occasions, if the applicant is really strong and we feel that they're worthy of assistantship or scholarship, we try to keep a couple of such opportunities available, and extend that to them in a much more timely or advanced manner so that they can make their decisions. Now, I did mention that one of the core emphasis of the program is working on applied analytics project. This is done over 2 semesters. It's 6 credits worth. It's typically for full-time students. It's during your 2nd and 3rd semester. Either students will work in individuals or as a team of 2 or 3, depending on the scope of the project. For each project or each semester for 3 credits, a student is expected to put in 150 hours of work. And the request for projects comes through different means. So sometimes in rare occasions, a student has either done an internship or has a job opportunity with an organization. And if that organization has a project idea, and the student will extend that to me, and then we will have a discussion and see if it's an appropriate fit. I have a form that I send out to the organization to complete that asks for their background information, what's the business problem, what kind of data sources, how many students they need, is it 1 or 2 students, and what is the anticipated number of hours. And based on that scope, I will make final decision and make assignments. I typically make all of the project requests available to students so they can present me with their top 3 choices. And I try to make the assignment the best possible, to ensure at least the top 3 choices met. And so far, it has not been a major issue. These are some sample projects over the last 2 semesters. I've not updated this based on summer. This summer, we have 14 projects going on. And I think there's only 1 from this that's a continuing. Actually, there's 2 projects that's continuing. That is Office of Sustainability and the Perseverance Cables. Well, actually, let me stand corrected. Classic Graphics is another one that's a continuing project as well. And CommScope has agreed to extend some projects for the fall. So some of these companies come back with projects, and some will continue over 1 semester. What I have done here, these slides will be shared with you later on. I have these examples of applied analytics project. I'm going to click on it and hope it takes me to the slides that you can still see, because I have it shared as my desktop view. If you notice, these are list of projects. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just to give you a gist, the title of the slide tells you what that project is about. On the left, the 2 boxes tell you what the business problem and what are some data sources they used. On the right, it tells you what technology was used and some key findings, with the middle graphics representing some findings from the study. Now, for each of the organization, we sign what's called an NDA or non-disclosure agreement. So some companies will restrict us from sharing more details. So you may see in some of the future slides that there may be the information is not as sufficient for you to view, but this is based on the NDA. So I'm not going to go over all this. When we share the slides with you, you can view it so you get a little bit of idea about what kind of projects the student have worked on. Okay, so let me switch back to my slides here. Okay. So here's a listing of the projects. As I said, Market America, the student actually developed a search, I'm sorry, let me go back here, as a search engine based on the data they provided. Some of the others, the next two, are based on inventory and quality control. Energy analytics, this is the ones the students actually built an interactive dashboard to show how the data coming in from the sensors around the Peacock Hall, the business school building, is collecting the data. They built dashboards to show the statistics or visualizations based on energy usage, and has some interactive component to it so people can look at how it was for the last week or a particular time period. And it also provides some suggestions for being more sustainable. So again, these are just a few examples of applied projects. As I said, we continue to explore projects. This semester, we also have students working on projects with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Walmart, and we have the ASU Athletics Department, athletic training. So there's just all kinds of projects. And if you have more questions pertaining to it, I can again expand on any particular one towards the end. I did mention the executive skills component. This is a very critical piece of skill set that students need, because this is something that we get back from organizations over and over again. We want our students to be a good communicator, whether it's oral or written communication through their project portfolio. They can demonstrate that. And we also want students to have exposure to more professional soft skills. So we have business etiquette business etiquette lunch forum. We have resume and interview skill sets, practice skill set, practice interviews, or mock interviews as we call it, during the Career Connections events. So we try to expose our students to all of these opportunities. So each semester, the students are to enroll in a 0-credit executive skills class, which means one hour per week. And it focuses on several of these things that I just mentioned. This is a new addition to the program, in the sense it was kind of available before, but MBA students are required to participate in an international experience. It's not mandatory for analytics students, but it is optional. The students can participate in short-term study abroad programs. Typically, it's done during the fall break or winter break, that is between December, it's usually early January, or May, between fall and summer semester. So students completing in May can still do a study abroad program in the summer, and it can still count towards their graduation requirement. If it's a tour that involves an analytics theme or a focus on analytics, it could be it can be an elective for you. If it is a travel that does not have emphasis on analytics, but you still want to take that trip, you can do so, but it would be an additional course in your program of study. So some upcoming trips, this is not a complete list. I'm sure it will be updated as as new proposals are approved. The India May 2019 trip has an analytics option. This is actually the one that Dr. Dave, who's the head of the CIS and supply chain department, and I will be doing. This is a trip to India. And we have worked with a few companies based in Bangalore, India. And so the topic is on global supply chain logistics and analytics. There are 2 other additional trips, one to Cuba in January 2019 and Australia, May 2019. These are not analytics option, but if a student wants to take the trip, they can, but it counts as an additional um, course in your program of study. There are some travel scholarship and opportunities that are available, and if you're interested, you can find out more about it. This is just, I know this can be a little too much at this time, but I wanted to give a sample, like, students wonder how can we finish this in 1 year. So typically students take 4 courses every term. The executive skills is a 0 credit class. That's listed as the 5th one, but that's 0 credit. But typically you take 4 classes, and this can vary a little bit based on the concentration you have. So this is listed for supply chain concentration. And we discussed this during advising because some of the courses are offered only once a year. So we want to make sure that you stay on track, and we will discuss all of the courses that's offered. And if you were to ever change a particular course, we'll have to discuss that to ensure that you don't fall outside the term that you had anticipated to graduate. If you were to do the business analytics certificate, it's 15 hours. So there's 3 core course requirements. So these are required classes. The students analytics, that is analytics certificate students, do the project for only 1 semester, not the 2 semesters that the degree students do. And apart from the core courses, you have 6 hours of electives that can be selected from the courses that's you see on the screen. If there's any other course outside this that you need to choose, you can, but for any course, we have to make sure that you've met any prerequisites or there's permission for that particular program. Okay, so that's the minimum 15 hours. So the question comes up, if you were to do the certificate and then later apply for the MSADA program, what happens? I think as long as the coursework fall within the 7-year window that the graduate school has, and you start and finish the program in a meaningful time format, all of these courses can count if you are admitted into the MSADA program, so that the time and money spent on these programs is not wasted. Okay. I had mentioned about the Executive Impact Club. There's opportunities to network with our students. So we have a strong graduate programs community. There's also the graduate student has the graduate student organization or association. All of these organizations have opportunities for students to participate in extracurricular and community engaged activities. You can volunteer or do fundraising for special events. The Executive Impact Club is the graduate club within the Walker College of Business. That's all MBA, MS Analytics, and the accounting students can participate. So they have different events. I think they have social events, they have company visits, they have speakers who come and present once a month. They always have a lot of these planned well ahead of time. There's a committee, there's a faculty advisor, there's a president, vice president, all the typical of any student organization, and they work on these things. And they also do some trips to some of the companies in the area. We also have a Facebook and LinkedIn group, both for the MBA program as well as MSADA. Then in the MSADA one that I manage, I link not only the current students, so we have alumni, we also have company professionals that are part of that group, so that I post any opportunities in addition to what's already available in career services and share that with the students. So here's an example of some of the opportunities that the Executive Impact Club has. And again, if you have questions, you can I can have one of the, I can put you in touch with one of the officers so you get more information. There is a due for the Executive Impact Club, which is $10 per semester, or you want to do 3 semesters since you'll be here for a year. There's a subsidized cost of $20. And believe me, every event they host, there's so much food, and I'm sure you'll recoup the money in no time, at least just by attending a few events. But that's a great opportunity to socialize, network, and contribute back to the community. So this is just final contact information. Anything related to the program, I recommend MS Analytics at appstate.edu so it doesn't get lost in my work email. That's my phone number and the website. So I'm going to stop here and make sure that you are not muted anymore, and I will go over. Okay, I already hear some background noise, so please, if you can, either if you're not talking, or maybe I shouldn't. Okay, I'm going to mute all because I hear a lot of background noise. But let me go to the chat window and see if there are any questions that's come up. Okay. All right. The question is on job placement from program graduates. So I can speak to that in two parts. The first set of MS ADA students graduated this May. And those were the 3 students who actually, they formed their own company. They've been running this company since last fall, I believe. During the second semester, they started this company called Altitude Analytics, Inc. And they've been running the company, but one of them already has an offer from PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I think he was an accounting graduate and had that offer, but he is not going to start that job until September because they want to see how this company is heading off. The other 2 also has some job offers, but they're going to try and focus a little bit on their company this summer and then decide which of the job offers they want to take. I think one of them had from what I understand, a job offer from Michigan. The other one had a job offer from Lowe's, but he declined it because he wanted to focus on this startup, and but did have another offer, I believe, from Cisco, but I don't know exactly what they're deciding to do, but I think their focus right now this summer is on the companies. The other group that I can talk about is the MBA students with analytics concentration. And they are, they have been absorbed into Market America, Lowe's, Volvo. So some of these students come back as speakers. So we've had these students come back as speakers to our sessions or come back to network during the career events that we've had. So that's pretty much like those are MBA students with analytics concentration. Our next set of students who will be graduating will be in August. I guess I'll have more information on that as they finish the term. But I do understand a couple of them already have internship opportunities, and potentially that might convert to job opportunities. So one of them is with Lowe's, other one with Classic Graphics in Charlotte. And there are others that are want to finish the term before they apply for jobs. I mean, they're applying for jobs and interviewing right now, but I won't have details until they've completed. Okay, hope that helps. And I can unmute somebody if need be, but there's a lot of background noise and I put you on mute again. Or you can just raise your hand. I don't know if that I can view it. Okay, let me again unmute all and hope that the background noise is not there. Any other questions?
20, 100, what did you say?
Hello?
It's 99.
Okay, I'm gonna mute it back. Any other questions? Okay, I'll go back to the chat window. Okay, well, I'm glad this has been useful, but again, if you think of any other questions, please let me know. Okay, does the program have any interaction with third-party companies? I am not sure. Lance, can I, let me see if I can unmute you so you can, hold on 1 second. Let me see how I can unmute you. Okay, Lance, I unmuted you. Can you explain what you mean by third-party companies? Can you speak? Can you? I can't hear you. Lance? Lance, are you there? Oh, you don't have a, okay, you said, I'm just curious if there are projects involved. Oh yes, all of the projects. So the one I showed you, I mean, more than 70% of our projects are with outside companies. Yes, that counts as coursework. So let me differentiate. So if you're already working for a company, you can't use your work as a replacement for the project. It has to be in addition. For example, we had a student who worked at Lowe's, and so their supervisor had to confirm that the particular project that they were being assigned on is in addition to the regular roles and responsibilities. However, if you're a full-time student and you just get an internship, and if that internship focuses in analytics, that can count as a coursework. But many of the projects are most of the projects which are unpaid, but company-based projects are all with companies outside of, with third-party companies. As I said, the companies that I listed. So this term, if I can recall all the ones I said: Blue Cross Blue Shield, Walmart, Classic Graphics, Prispian Cable Company. We have Center 45 is what's a local company here on it's a exercise fitness company. We also have I'm trying to remember of all the 14 projects. There's 3 to 4 projects that is within ASU, but different units. For example, athletics training, sports analytics. So a student is analyzing baseball analytics, like baseball data. We have for the Office of Sustainability. So we're continuing on some other aspects of the energy analytics project and so on. So I hope I've answered your question. So yes, with outside companies, but I just need to know the context and what it is to ensure that it counts as coursework. Okay, other questions?
I had a question, Miguel.
Yes, go ahead.
If I were to choose to do the international program,
yes,
regardless of whether it applied or if I had to take it extra, would I be able to apply that towards, there's a global connection certificate. I think you get it if you have like prereqs for it in foreign language and global studies, things like that. Would I be able to apply that only?
I'm not sure. That's a good question, Miguel. If you can email me your question again, just to make sure that I've not misinterpreted it, I can find an answer for you, because that's not a question that I have encountered before. Usually students do that study abroad experience, and it counts as one of the courses. But in terms of additional certificate, I don't know what the requirements are, but if you send me an email, I can find the answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, other questions? Let me just go through the chat window to make sure. Okay, I think I've answered all of the questions, but if there are any other questions, I have unmuted everybody, I think. Or just type in the chat window, as I said. Okay, I do not hear any other. Yes, go ahead. Okay, I did not hear the question. Okay, hearing no other questions, I can stop for now. But as I said, please, if you have any questions, if you hang up, I know after this call and you think, oh my God, I forgot to ask during the session, do not hesitate to email me. Again, the preferred way of contacting me is by email, which is what I check very frequently. I have some international travel coming up, so if you leave a phone message, sometimes I don't get the message immediately. But although I think my phone does send an email with the text of the conversation or the audio attachment, so I can at least hear the message and I will get back to you. But email is the best to reach out to me so that I can get back to you with the answers. Yes, actually, Daniel, thanks so much for posting that. Sometimes students ask me do you want to get a head start on, how do you get a head start on the program? Again, as I said, apart from the stats and econ, which is the required prerequisites, programming prerequisite, we don't have that currently, although I'm kind of reviewing the curriculum right now to see is that something that we need to post and, to get students up to speed. I have a resource link on my website for all additional things that students can pick up, whether it's Python or R, both data camp and there's a couple of resources that have some free courses, and you could get started on Python or R, which is used pretty heavily in the data analytics area. So some of the technologies that the program are primarily SAS, Tableau, R, Python, of course Excel. But if there's other technologies, then it's either through the project course that they can place an extra emphasis and learn those technologies. But the courses primarily cover these others that I just mentioned. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Do the course cover Apache and Hadoop? We don't cover in, let me say, not the courses that's offered through the business school or business CIS or MBA program, but some of our students take a CIS elective, and apparently they do cover that. So one of the things I've been in conversation with the CIS department is for either to introduce a concentration in CIS, but at this time, although we don't have an official concentration, students do take CS courses, computer science courses, as long as you have the prerequisites. So they recommend either the data camp or one of the online courses, free courses that's offered in Python or R to get a head start. And then you can take one of their machine learning or other courses in which they cover some of the advanced technologies. But another thing that I'm doing this fall semester is reviewing our curriculum. As I said, I started at App State last year. I was at UNC Greensboro for 18 years, and the last 8 years there as a program director. So when I came in here, the program was already in place. But I have been currently evaluating the program and making sure whether we're covering some of the subject areas in depth or where the gaps are, and maybe revising the curriculum. It may not happen right away this fall semester, but I try to provide students additional resources that's not covered in the classroom to make sure they get, a little bit ahead, to be marketable. And the competitions is another great way to get a little bit more into some of the advanced technologies. Hope that helps, Miguel. If not, I'll get you more information. Okay, other questions? Okay. But thank you all so much for taking the time. And as I said, I will send a follow-up email with a link to the slides and also link to our overview document and a link to some of the resources I mentioned that I make available to our current students that you can take a look at. And these certainly, the students have found it really useful. Okay. Thank you so much. And have a great afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you all in the program or hearing from you very soon. Okay. Bye-bye.